Welcome to week 5, module 2. Once again, over the hump in terms of the number of weeks left in the semester and getting to the point where we're completing our conversations about the major content in each of the modules and getting down to your reflection and your application and the completion of your projects. So it's an exciting time in the semester for Bill and I to start to see how you're taking all this information and integrating it into your own perception of your current and future sphere of influence and your plan to expand that sphere and its effectiveness. So Module 2, as you all are now well aware, relates to our responsibility to purposefully develop a culture in our school, and specifically a culture of achievement, one in which all the stakeholders feel that they have a responsibility to improve and increase and expand and enhance what the school is all about: a safe place to learn, an excellent place to teach, a wonderful place where learning takes place, a place of achievement. To prepare for this week, you have read Fisher, Fry, and Pumpian Chapter 5. I've encouraged you to continue to read and finish the Restorative Practice Handbook by Costello, Wachel. That is basic to your understanding of all of the concepts behind Do No Harm and your culture building activities that will transcend into the other modules, especially your platform. We've asked you to think about purposely creating culture in your school, especially last week related to the words we use and how choice words impact building agency, identity, aspiration, and respect in the school. Related to that, you've completed Reflection Pillar Choice Words blog post 3, and the purpose of this week is to discuss how we create conditions under which learning can always be the next thing we promote. That's what we're about. And finally, how to propose building a safe and learning culture based on expanding your current and your future sphere of influence. And so the pillar we're discussing this week is It's Never Too Late to Learn. This is what you'll do your blog post on. This is certainly the chapter that you've now read in Fisher, Fry, and Pumpian, and it leaves itself open to all kinds of possibilities and examination at both the micro and macro levels. Basically, it's a conversation at what point you can really say to a student, let's stop digging the hole deeper. Let's figure out a way to keep you from falling further behind, from getting more frustrated, from getting less motivated to complete the work, and start a plan so the next thing you can do is start learning and catching up and demonstrating the competencies we're interested in you and responsible for you learning. This concept came to us in kind of an interesting way. We were in our school in health sciences, our first year. It was about the end of October, November. Fires had occurred. The students weren't back at school the first day back. The teachers were. And we shared the data with the school that already by the end of October, beginning of November, over 3/4 of students had at least one F. Many of the students had at least multiple Fs. And it seemed like, as excited as we were about our new school, as proud as we were about our new school, it didn't look any different than any other school. That by halfway through the first semester, most students knew they were failing a course, and there was little they could do to pass the course. Imagine that. You're midway through a semester, you're a 16 or 17-year-old kid. You're told that based on the failure to have completed certain homework, based on the failure to have come to class prepared, based on the failure to have made a passing score in the midterm, that you will fail the course. There's nothing you can do to pass the course. You can take it this summer, you can take it again next semester, but you have failed the course. But we say to you, but we still want you to come to school, we still want you to come to class, we still want you to work real hard, we still want you to be cooperative and complete the work. Really? Students say in their minds. Really? You want me to stay involved and stay productive and stay motivated and attempt to do the work when you've just told me by the syllabus there's nothing I can do to pass this course? At the time, the concept of failure, no option was the big words, and we couldn't find a syllabus in our school or in any other school where failure was not an option. In fact, failure was an option. Large number of the students were realizing is one of the reasons that in high school so many freshmen and sophomores never became sophomores, juniors and seniors. So we said to our teachers that day in October, as the ashes of the fire and the smoke filled the air, failure is an option. What are we going to do about it? It's never too late to learn emanated from that, because the first response from the teachers was, you want us to make the school easier? Water down the curriculum? No. You want us to teach at a different level? No. You want us to just give grades away? No. We had to come up with a different answer. And the different answer was to reconceptualize learning, not in seat time, but in continual effort till you meet a competency. A scientist, when an experiment doesn't succeed, reorganizes the experiment and does it again. He doesn't fail and quit and get kicked out of the lab. A person writing a book or an essay writes another draft. Every draft improves. The earlier drafts were failures. They were just not adequate to meet the standard or the competency necessary to complete it. And so it's never too late to learn became our response to, and a pillar to say, that at any point in time, let's figure out where you're at, and let's develop a plan so you can work on and develop the competencies necessary to be successful. And we knew within that plan that we couldn't say F, failure. We had to say something else, like next draft, try again. In a formal way, as we'll talk about in a second, we created incompletes instead of failing grades, so students knew their work and effort was not complete to the satisfaction of meeting a competency, or for that matter, wasn't complete enough to get the grade they wanted. And if they wanted to work harder, put more time in, they in fact could improve on their competency or move an incomplete to a passing successful grade and performance. Huge difference, but it started with saying, okay, if you're ready to start now, if you're ready to try again or try for the first time right now, let's put a plan in place so you can adequately get the work done and demonstrate the competency. A plan, a contract, a way of saying to a student, we can stop digging deeper, we can start digging out, and we're here to help you. Part of that is our commitment to provide highly effective instruction. Students will fail more if we're ineffective in our instruction. So our dedication to the gradual release of instruction model, to really looking at building competencies around the standards and teaching of those competencies, to use a variety of teaching methods, to work on interpersonal relations with each student and with our class, to create a culture of achievement was always based on the notion that failure will be reduced as the quality of our instruction increases. We also built a competency-based system, not based on time, not based on seat time, not based on compliance, but based on demonstrating competencies associated with the subject matter for the class. We built incompletes into that process, so students would have a chance to not fail, but continue to work towards a successful grade. And obviously, if our classroom instruction alone wasn't effective in helping somebody meet those competencies, we had to look at aggressively building an academic intervention programs that every school is responsible for doing under No Child Left Behind, under LCAP, under every system of grant and compliance and accreditation. What do you do for your struggling students? What do you do to help students catch up, to complete academic recovery, credit recovery? What interventions are in place during class, before school, at lunch, after school, on weekends, in summer, What's the school's strategic plan for providing additional interventions, structured and unstructured, formal and informal, by the same teacher or by other teachers, with peer tutors or with guidance and support? What are the interventions we'll do to provide a student more support in order to learn and demonstrate those competencies? Academic intervention, academic recovery. How do we help students we know are significantly behind performance at grade level? What interventions will be necessary to allow them to more adequately access the subject matter? And once a student fails to perform at competency, what recovery academic resources can we provide to allow the student to, in fact, retake the competency, redemonstrate his or her performance at a successful level? Every LCAP and LSEF plan requires special attention school-wide in particular groups and to particular groups of struggling students. What are your academic interventions for struggling students? It's another way of saying it's never too late to learn. What are you going to put in place to ensure that that learning can take place? How are we going to teach it again, teach it differently, provide different resources in different settings with different supports, within, without, inside and outside the classroom, to supplement the classroom and to extend the classroom so every student can succeed. So we can say to a student, it's not too late to learn. Let's put together a plan. Here's your responsibility in the plan. Here's our responsibility in the plan. Here's your parents' responsibility in the plan. We start that plan very informally where the responsibilities are on the students to, in fact, come and get the extra support resources. But after a very short amount of time, 2 weeks, those responsibilities become the schools to formally contract with the student, with the family, to know this is the plan we're putting in place for your student's success. Here's everybody's responsibility. Let's get it done. So when you write your Never Too Late blog post next week, you're going to respond to prompts that will be in your flyby. And these are going to be the prompts that you'll respond to. Is failure a real and regular option and experience for the students at your school? If so, what impact do you believe that's creating in the culture of your school? If not, what structures have been put in place to accomplish those alternatives, those wonderful results? What would you do, if anything, to introduce or enhance a never too late learning structure in your school if you were the school leader? In other words, if you had a larger sphere of influence in the school, would you put in place its never too late structures? And what would they be? What could you do in your present position, your present sphere of influence, to create never too late structures in your current practice as well as those with your peers? Are those things in your current sphere of influence? And those 5 things will be built into your commitment list. I know it's getting towards the end of the semester, but things that you can start working on, thinking about, talking about in your own sphere of influence with your peers to try to figure out new things to put in place that will be reflected upon at the end of the semester when you do your best schooling universe and you reflect on your commitments to each of the other pillars. So that's the prompt for next week. That's the post for next week. Is it too late to learn in your school? What conditions would make never too late to learn for each competency a reality? Can you give examples? So these are your blog post prompts, and hopefully this is what you start to put in place. For next week, your reflection pillar post on Never Too Late to Learn will be due. And remember, it's never too late in fiction or in life to revise, revision, try it again, put in more effort in. This is B work. You want A work? Write another draft. This is incomplete work. If you want a completion and a grade, let's go back through the homework packet and work on it again. Let's get additional support and tutoring. Let's demonstrate the competency after you've had more chance to work on it. It's never too late to learn. Can't be just words. It has to be a condition built into the strategic fabric of how intervention, instruction and intervention is provided in the classroom and outside the classroom. Make that part of the culture of your school. Have a great week.